Hello and welcome back to another Mike's mini session. I hope you're doing okay. If you've gotten this far, you're doing really well, and you should be very proud of yourself because it's just been a little bit bumpy. We've finished with our modelling now. I'm just going to jump back to layout, and we've got our 2 and whatever. And we've not lost our UV grids because they're still just there. Depending on what you're making, it will depend on the workflow of what you're doing, and the workflow is kind of the flow in which you do different jobs, right? So we did a little bit of not so much planning, but we kind of did an introduction and we started modeling, and then we kind of applied everything, and then we did a little bit of a UV unwrap, and we did some grids and things. And that's because the next stages of the process are going to be all about texturing and then doing some animation. And that's our kind of workflow, our pipeline, whatever you want to call it. You may end up doing these things in different orders. You may end up not doing any or some of them, or doing completely different things, and that's completely fine. It's never about like this is the one way of doing it, and that's one of the brilliant things about 3D modeling is it's an art form, and you get to choose how you do it. One of the things that I like to do at this stage, before I export, is just prep all of my materials. So you remember that a material it defines what the thing is made of. So if this was real, I would say that maybe there would be some metal in there, maybe some rubber, maybe a bit of plastic. Those, maybe 2 or 3 materials, and they would respond to light slightly differently. They might have slightly different colors and things like that, which means that we're going to need textures for each of those. But firstly, we need the materials to hold all of that. So what we want to do is we want to just assign some materials to different parts, and then we're going to export to something called Substance Painter, where we can physically paint on some different textures and colors and make what's called a PBR texture, which is physics-based rendering. Now, it's going to look like what I call a Fisher-Price stage, and that's okay. The most important part about this bit is that we get the right pieces connected with the right materials. So you need to just take a moment and think about what you think the different parts of this model are going to be made of. And I don't just mean this part and this part, I mean all of the different parts within it, right? So are the little grippers going to be made of something different to this part of the arm? Are these little round bits different to like these stronger parts of the arm? Is this base made of something different? And then the base, the feet, all of that. How is it made? What's it made of? Let's pretend it's real and let's decide what it's made of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. Yeah, let's start with this one for a change. And I'm just going to go into isolate mode again, and I'm going to go down to materials. Now we know that it has the UV grid one on it, which is fine, but actually we have it on the other one, so I'm just going to now remove it. That doesn't get rid of the UVs. See, there we go, they're all still there. We were just using the grid to visualize the UVs. Now I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call this arm metal, and then I'm going to press plus again, and I'm going to click new, and I'm going to arm, because I'm going to want some on the base, so I'm just kind of differentiating between arm and base, and I'm going to call this one plastic. And you know what, I'm going to put arm miscellaneous, because there might be just some bits that I don't really know what they're made of yet. They might just be a bit different. Now, at this stage we don't care what they look like, but we do need to be able to tell the difference between them. So we need to make sure that we're on the viewport shading, and on each of these materials I'm going to go to the base color and I'm going to make it as heavily contrast as I can, and you'll see why it's called the Fisher-Price stage. And now it only has this one on it because that's the top of the hierarchy. So I made that one first and it applied it all, and the rest are there, but we can't really see them. But if I go into edit mode, so either up here or tab, what I can do is I can say let's do these. So I'm going to select this piece and this piece, so shift those, and then I'm going to do control, actually no, I'm going to be good, I'm going to go select, and I should be able to grow my select. So let's do more, and you can see that we've now got kind of where all these faces, all these edges, where it's kind of grown the selection one more. Might be a bit easier there. There we go. Okay, and then these are kind of the bits that I want maybe made of like a plasticky type thing. So I'm going to select plastic, and because I've got these bits selected, I'm going to say assign. And now if we go back, we can see that these are now green and these are now yellow. And don't worry if you missed that, don't worry about that. We'll sort that. And do I want this to be? I want this to be a different color. These are going to go into my MISC. So select all of those, including here. And I'm going to go over to MISC and I'm going to say assign. There we go. This is going to be metal. That's an idea. I could put some, no, because it's not unwrapped. Don't do that. I'm going to take this one, I'm going to grow that again so that we have just these bits in here, and I'm going to make that plastic. I'm going to make, and don't worry if yours isn't exactly the same, like it's just about you know, assigning materials and breaking up the shape a little bit, so into its different parts. And don't worry about the colors or anything like that. So I'm just going to take these, and this is going to be the base, so that can be this as well. Oh, let's just get these bits on top as well. That's okay. So now, no, I want all of these to be plastic. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So now these can kind of look like they deform when this kind of goes back and forth and whatever, but the arms always stay straight. Okay. If you go to preview and then come out of there, so we've got kind of our first bit here, and then we've got this. So I'm just going to go back in, and I'm going to remove the grid from there. Make sure you're in object mode, and I'm going to call this base metal. I'm going to have base shiny metal because I want two. Again, I'm just making this up, as you can tell. Base rubber, because like the little bits on the feet might be rubber, and then just in case, I don't think I'll need it, but just in case, I'll just put a miscellaneous. And again, I'm just going to go through there and make these all atrocious colors. so that I can tell the difference between them. It doesn't matter what color you pick. Okay, let's go in here. I'm going to take this one and go not that way. All of that, that's going to be a metal, so that's fine, that's already there. And then I'm going to take these, I'm not really going to worry too much about the ones I can't see. And yes, I could select these in the UV, but it's okay. We're here now. And these, and there we go. So I'm just sort of making a combination of selections here using Alt and Control and all sorts. So these, why not? Plus this can go into like a rubber. Is that going to look weird? Who knows? We'll know at the end of the day. I'm going to take these, and these can be rubber as well. And then I'm going to take this. Let's see if I can, there we go, select all of that. I just Alt selected that and Shift Alt. So Shift is going to keep everything in my selection, but I can still use Alt, and I just need to grab these because it'd be interesting to see how they come up. Okay, let's make sure one of those. Okay, and I'm going to make them rubber as well. Now, I have these bits which I want to be the shiny, but it's going to take me a long time to select. So, a little cheat way of doing that is press A to select everything. And what I can do is I can come over here and say rubber, deselect. So get rid of that. And I can go metal, deselect. So now hopefully, it's because I've got metal on there already. Hang on, let's go like this, and we'll put that onto MISC. So now all we've got is this one. Okay, I suppose I could have just put that shiny, but it's fine. We're here now. So I'm just going to deselect everything. I'm going to come over to base metal and I'm going to select it. So now everything that is originally on the normal metal, I want to move to shiny. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to click assign. Now that's all like that. Now I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to do select and then metal. So that was a bit of a long-winded way. I apologize for that. But it was handy we had this MISC to help us do that. So now I can see what parts are going to be metal, which parts are going to be like a shiny metal, and which parts are going to be a rubber. And I might change that later, but for now, that's absolutely fine. So what we've got here is our Fisher-Price robot arm. It looks like a toy because of the colours. The colours will be overridden, so you do not need to worry at all about them. It's more about which parts are which. Okay, and now what we can do, I'm going to control S that, if we wanted to, is we can start thinking about how the different materials will take up their own UV sections, because they're in their own material, they have their own UVs. So if we went back to the UV and we went back onto, that's fine. Let's do this one. What we could do is we can now select everything that's metal, and we can see that we've got so much more room here now that we could actually sort of start to go, okay, well, let's just take all of these and just going to scale that up a little bit. put that in there. There we go. I'm going to grab that. Let's scale. I'm going to scale that up a little bit as well. I'm just going to put that in there, and then we're going to grab all of these. Scale these up. I'm going to put one there. I'm going to grab all of that. I'm going to kind of, I can just fit that in there. Okay, so now we're kind of hopefully using a bit more of the UV. We can play around with that. We could like straighten it all, organize it all, but again, it's a demo. So and then plastic, select that one again. Cool. Let's just try. Oh, look at that. That's much better. Well, I'm Blender. Okay, so we'll just quickly go back. We will select that, and we will give that an unwrap as well. Yeah. And we will select that. Oh, this one will look great. There we go. Okay, so now, even though we've got this absolute mess, they're going to be separated onto different materials, so it should look fine. And then we're just going to do the same for this one. Going to just select everything that's on that. I'm not going to UV unwrap that. And we're going to do this one. Oh, remember to clear your selection. And unwrap that. And the rubber as well. I don't think we had anything in. No, that's okay. So we now have our brilliantly unwrapped and materialized, if that's a word, robot arm. So what we're going to do is I'm going to save, and hopefully in the next video we will be able to export it. So if you've gotten this far, well done. If you need a break, I know I need a break, then let's take it, and I will see you in the next video. Enjoy.